Hi everyone, I hope you're having a fabulous weekend this weekend, and happy Sunday, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Lisa-Marie Armstrong. I'm a sustainable stylist and mindset shifter, and I'm also the founder of the Sustainable Style Academy, where I help people go from being a overwhelmed closet owner to a sustainable style champion. So if you're a lover of sustainable style or you want to become one, make sure you hit that subscribe button right down there so you're informed every Sunday when I put up a new video. So my clients ask me all the time, Lisa-Marie, how do I know if a company is actually really sustainable or if they're just pretending to be so? Yeah, I know that is such a tricky thing to figure out. What they are talking about is called greenwashing, and it really is quite a big problem in the industry now, especially for us consumers wanting to buy ethically and sustainably made things, being lied to by big companies. That is what pretty much the essence of what greenwashing is. So how does that work exactly, and how can you know for sure if a company is actually holding up to their promises? I'm going to tell you in just a moment, but first, let's make ourselves aware of something. Let's get more clear on what it means to be sustainable and what greenwashing actually is. First of all, let me point out by saying that anything that is produced, that is a thing, in our case, we're talking about clothing, is never 100% sustainable. This goes for no matter whether a company is claiming to be sustainable or if they are a fast fashion company. Simply put, at the end of the product's life, if it could be considered a piece of trash, it is not sustainable. It's kind of tough to wrap our minds around because it just seems so terrible, doesn't it? Okay, so there are products that have been much more consciously made than other products, right? And that also have very, very little impact on our planet, and this is a positive thing, right? And then there are others that have an enormous impact and that have absolutely devastating effects for our planet and also for the people that make them and for the people who have to take them on once we don't want them anymore. Unfortunately, the majority of our shoes and our clothing fall into that latter category of devastating. And yes, indeed, while it does make sense to buy from those that have a low environmental impact, and the low social impact as well, that's an absolutely important part of this this equation. It goes hand in hand, the ethical and the ecological part of sustainability. It's important to understand that nothing is 100% sustainable. So in other words, it's not just because something has lower impact is not a free ticket to go and binge buy on it, like we've been doing with other products. So what creates this impact? Well, in simple terms, it's defined by just a few things. It's defined by the way the materials were created. That means the way they were grown or chemically produced. It was the way it was produced. That means the way the fabrics were made, the way that it was dyed, the way it was sewn together. It's the way it was transported, because a garment has quite a long history of world travel by the time it finally gets to you in many cases, and how much of the item was produced and how much quantities of this item have been produced. Within each of these categories, there's a variety of factors such as energy, water, the chemicals that were used to produce those pieces of clothing. This also goes for the powering of the factories and the offices of the companies that design the clothing. And it's also the packaging that was used to ship. There's a lot of plastic and paper involved in shipping. It's also the transport of the energy used to transport, what kind of gas or energy was used. during transport of the garments to the different factories, to the stores, and also to you. That's a massive amount of factors to have to consider when you're trying to figure out whether a company is sustainable or not, don't you think? I certainly think it's quite overwhelming. And so that is why, as you can see, it would be nearly impossible for any company to be 100% sustainable. There are, of course, companies who are doing their very best to minimize their impact and reduce their outputs. And this should absolutely be recognized as a good thing, definitely. Because let's face it, even though so many people would say the ideal would be to stop shopping completely altogether, I think realistically that won't ever happen. But what we can do, of course, is reduce the amount that we buy. So what we do buy, we do need to buy from companies that are acting as responsibly as possible. So we have the least amount of impact on the planet. There are long-standing companies who are working towards drastically reducing their impact and improving their sustainable methods. But these take lots of time and money to do. And in case you're wondering why it can't just happen overnight, why can't a company just suddenly up and decide, no, I think we're going to go 100% sustainable from yesterday now to today. It doesn't happen that way, right? But they are doing their best and they're going as quickly as they can. These types of companies are often also considered transparent because these types of companies, because they want to show and prove their sustainability, will open their books up, so to say, and allow you to see where your clothing is being produced, who made it, where the fabrics come from. They give you transparency so you can see what it is that you are actually buying, what you're actually voting for. And then there are the fakers, the one with one thing on their agenda: to make as much money as possible and to grow exponentially. They're pretending to work on sustainability so that they can look good in your eyes, so that you'll trust them. But they don't actually change their ways. And this is the essence of greenwashing. And that's why it's so hard to determine whether a company is truly sustainable or not, because so many of them want to trick you into thinking that they are so that you'll buy their stuff, right? And with that, here are 3 ways that you'll be able to tell whether a company is full of crap or if they are truly sustainable. First thing to look out for, and this is a very typical greenwashing example, companies that mass produce on an enormous scale and overproduce. And claim, though, that they're doing wonders for our planet because they have some green line amongst their collections that is supposed to make you feel good about buying their products. The problem here is that they are massively overproducing not only their main lines of clothing, but they're also massively overproducing the sustainable one. And in order to do so, they practice very poor manufacturing methods that not only pollute our planet, but are responsible for enslaving millions of people. First, they exploit the poorest of the poor, and then they sell it to you and me as something that is doing good for the planet. I call it trickery, and it's bad stuff. What can we do about this? Boycott them! That's always my initial answer. I know, I'm not joking, but I know it's sometimes really, really hard to do that, especially if you're on a tight budget or maybe you have children and you can't fathom spending lots of money on children's clothes that you know they're going to grow out of in 6 months. I totally get that because I have kids too, so I know that. I understand you. So if you must shop there, never ever binge buy. Always buy with a purpose, something that's been thought out, not something that you just pop into the store and select, That's not consciously buying something, that's kind of unconsciously buying something. So buy with purpose and then care for these items like the extremely valuable things that they are. You can also become active and let the company know that you want them to do better. You can get on social media and talk about it. You can tag them. You can write them emails. You can make your voice heard. You can. It is absolutely your right to do this. If it's cheap and new, it was made under crappy circumstances, regardless of their sustainability claims. And I can tell you that when I say crappy circumstances, I'm talking about the kind of crappy circumstance that no one in the Western world, no matter how financially strapped you might be, could possibly fathom. Second thing to look for, companies who make sustainability claims about their products without anything to back it up. We're talking about words to embellish their products like 100% natural or eco-friendly or recycled or organic, bio, green. By whose standards can they make these claims? Sometimes their claim is only referring to things as simple as like the hang tag in their, like the tag in their shirt, or the hang tag that the price tag is hanging on. They decide to claim 100% recycled just because the paper on the tag is 100% recycled, but the clothing piece itself is not at all recycled. So what can you do about this? Research the company and the item that you're buying or wanting to buy before you buy it. Because they could be telling you anything. They could be telling you that it's 100% natural even though it's not, just because they know that what you're looking for is 100% natural or eco-friendly. They think to themselves, well, if I just tell them that, then maybe that'll make them feel good and then they'll buy it. They just want your money and it's trickery, and we don't like that. There are also eco-certification standards that companies can get for their products that have been done by third-party auditors. And this is really, really great because when you see these particular symbols, you can actually trust the thing that you're buying and the company that you're buying from. So not all companies, unfortunately, are able to get this simply because it's a very expensive process to put the company and a product through. But nonetheless, they do exist, and I've included a list of the most important ones for you to know and look out for in a PDF that you can download in the link in the show notes below. Third thing to look out for, companies that make a claim to environmental protection without having any proof to back it up with. The company is claiming to be sustainable while they're busy maximizing their profits. You know they're fakers if they're doing that, and total greenwashers, because sustainability and growth is not possible. Think about that. What you can do, again, is your research. Research. Ask those companies to provide proof of their claims. Write them or ask them on social media. You can even get them to speak up to you and tell you the truth. And if they don't answer you, well then you know that they're probably not acting in very good form, and they probably don't care enough about their clients. So why buy from a company like that? So there you have it. You now know that you need to keep your eyes open for those companies that are mass producing, that are making unsubstantiated claims towards the sustainability of their products, or claim that they are committed to environmental protection but aren't. The main thing is it requires a bit more research on our parts in order to make sure that we're buying the things that we really truly like, need, and that stand also behind the types of values that we have. Call out those companies that are trying to trick us. Don't let them take advantage of you. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook. And until then, next week, until next Sunday, I wish you all a fabulous week. Enjoy your week, and I look forward to seeing you next time here on my show. Bye.